everyone, I'm Josie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a DIY and show you how I made this dumpster fabric quilt, which is not done. And this will probably be maybe in 2 or 3 parts. But this here was done with one jelly roll. Now I am going to show you with another jelly roll. I did start it because I didn't want to bore you. And I'm going to give you some pointers first before I start. First of all, I have just a Singer straight stitch. I'll show you. I'm hoping to upgrade because my sewing machine with all the fancy stitches broke not too long ago. But this sews really even, really good stitches. One thing, a lot of people will complain that their stitches aren't even. A lot of it has to do with how you thread your bobbin. You should change your needle pretty frequent. Also, let's put the camera up. I'm going to show you a couple of guides that really help. This is a magnetic guide you put on your sewing machine. Because like what I'm going to show you, my seams are 1/4 of an inch. And here is another one. And you can buy these on eBay, Amazon, your local store. And they really are helpful, especially if you're a beginner sewer. Couple of other pointers. Like I said, make sure you change your needle, especially when you're quilting. Quilting with the batting and everything is hard on the needles, and you want your needle nice and sharp. And also clean your machine. So this, I'll show you, is a jelly roll. I did start it because I did not want to take too long. And I know I could have edited it and made it shorter, but so I've sewed 3 strips already. Okay, I will show you how I cut my squares for that quilt. But I'm going to give you an idea. You can sew the strips. You can sew these strips and just leave it like this. And with one jelly roll or 2, you can make a much wider quilt than what I'm making with this one. Also, another idea. I've added strips in between and on the side. I could add more strips to make it wider, but I decided that this would look good in the back of your sofa or just as a lap quilt. It's too small, you know, for your bed, but behind your quilt, I like to sometimes for the different seasons put like a Christmas quilt or besides the pillows. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. But if you want to make a wider one, you don't have to cut the squares. And this is the instrument. I'm going to show you how to cut them. So, and another thing, when you sew your strips, I do not pin them. I have sewed for so many years, but I would advise people who have never sewed or have not sewed for that long to maybe pin them. Okay, I am going to add another strip. And another thing about sewing, if you want your sewing to look professional, press, press, press. I cannot stress enough. Pressing is the most important thing you can do with your sewing. Okay, let's lower the camera. Hopefully you have a good shot. I just hold it together like that, and I stitch, I make 1/4 of an inch seam. I do the first stitch and then back stitch. And then just guide it. Like I said, if you do not or can't sew straight, use one of these guides. It really helps you. Okay. And if you're not experienced, you don't have to sew fast. You can sew as slow as you want. The main thing with sewing is I advise have fun with it. Don't make it a chore, and it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of wonderful DIYs on YouTube. And there's a couple of my favorites. But there's a lot of them that they push perfection. They take the fun out of sewing. The longer you sew, it naturally will come to you and be as perfect as possible. And I've heard I belong to a couple of quilt groups, and a lot of them will say, if you have a mistake in your quilt, it's your mistake. It's like your signature. There is nothing wrong with it. And you always want to put your two sides together, your outsides together. Now, as I go along and do some more DIYs, I will give more measurements. I didn't think with the jelly roll that it was that important, other than the 1/4 of an inch seam. Okay, and sometimes at the end, your strips will not always be perfectly even. And that's no big deal. You just trim at the end. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I made my design. Now normally, let me move my camera. Normally I would go in and iron. But I'm going to do what's called finger press. And like I said, I am really a stickler on pressing with the iron. Okay. Now, you can buy these online. You could actually, with cardboard, cut a square out. This is 4.5 by 4.5. You can also, hopefully you can see that. You can cut them like that. So you get part of each fabric. I like to do it like that. And you can cut with the scissors or with this blade. Now it takes some getting used to with the blade. You have to push really hard to keep it in position. And sometimes too, it doesn't always go all the way through. And if it doesn't, because I didn't push hard enough, I just get the scissors and cut it. Now I don't like the way that. Okay. So you just never, and always close your blade. Those are wicked. And I'll show you. This is, whoops. Okay. This is what it looks like. And then after you cut all of them, and then I actually sew the whole jelly roll together before I ever start cutting them, but I wanted to show you. And then you go and you press each of those, and you press the seams down. And I want to show you the stitches, if you can see. They're very even on both sides. If one side is uneven, it means your tension is off. But so much of the time, it's not the tension, it's because of how you threaded the bobbin and your needle. Anyway, I'm just going to show you the one right now. But when I do the next video, I will have all these cut out. Or if there's a request that you want me to show you and cut more. But if you don't have one of these, like I said, you can actually get a heavyweight paper or cardboard, make one of these, and also use your scissors. Make sure your scissors are very sharp. If you're sewing, you should not use your scissors for paper, for anything else. But this here is one complete jelly roll. And you also, another pointer. That's, okay, one strip. You can put end to end, strip together. Okay. So you can make it really wide. You can use your imagination. The basic thing, you need to just get the basic steps down. Other than that, but this is how I made this. Okay, and on my next video, I will show you. I will have all this cleared off so you can see how I put this batting. I already cut it. You always want to cut your batting wider than the piece that you're going to quilt, because sometimes the fabric stretches and you don't want to end up with a spot that doesn't have batting. This gives it weight, holds it in place, just makes it look better. And after the batting is put on, then I will show you how I do the top quilting. And I decided to kind of break this up so some, experienced sewers, well, this is probably boring to them, but if you've never made a quilt before, it's good to just have it in sections. And this here is a good weight. It's Pellon, and I will give you the number next time. If you're an inexperienced sewer, I would suggest that you buy the iron-on. It is more expensive. With this one, you want to make sure it's pinned really good. And then after this is put on and the quilting's done, then you choose a color that you like. And I've went through all these colors, and I think I will just back it with a navy blue. I put all the different colors on it, and this is such a crazy pattern that I had a hard time deciding, and I thought, well, I put navy blue strips, so why not just put the backs that way? So if you have any questions, just put them in the comment section. And I hope that you got something out of this. And Chris, I know you wanted to do some sewing. Holly doesn't sew, I know, but I think Chris has sewed before. And I think these are neat. I love doing them. You can make, after they're all cut out, I will show you next time what you can do with them. I just decided on just crazy pattern, but you can actually make them all the same to be consistent. It just depends how you cut it. is the thing. And I'll give you an idea on that. If you want, if you want them to all look like that, then you have to really position it correctly so you don't get another print in there. So anyway, like I said, I will do this probably maybe even in 3 sessions. But I did want to get some of the basic things to you, like stitching straight, having the right tools helps. And if you check some of these out, I'll show you what I use too. I use this all the time. It is just great. And there's different sizes. You can actually even use this one on the jelly roll. So, and like I said, I don't stress being so fussy that there's one other YouTuber who I learn a lot from, and I've sewed all my life. It's relaxing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's yours. Enjoy it. Enjoy sewing. Some people stress out because, they're afraid their item's not going to be perfect. And the more you sew, it's like any other thing that you do. It takes practice. But sewing straight, using the right instruments, and then purchase some of these if you can. I purchased one at a time as I could afford it. And the blades for this, I do not even go to Walmart and purchase them. They're so expensive. You get great deals on eBay for blades. And you want to change it quite frequent if you're cutting a lot of fabric. So anyway, next time, like I said, I will show you how I've cut those out, the rest of them. And that's just to give you an idea of how I cut those. That's the only reason why I took that jelly roll out. And again, we will do some quilting. And there's a lot of different ways that you can quilt. You can go from corner to corner. You can do fancy stitches. You can do a lot of different things. So hope you had something that you got out of this. Haven't done a DIY for a long time, but I will be doing a lot of them. Sewing, jeweled hearts and crosses and whatever anyone wants. Plus, I haven't forgot the junk journals and the calendars that I got from Kristen Holly, so I will be doing those. And there's a lot of fabric I got from them that I will be showing you. So anyway, have fun. And this is my favorite thing to do is sewing. I can sit down at the sewing machine and tune out the world. And I've sewed since I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And I remember looking back at my first item, which was an apron. And when I was an adult, I finally got rid of it, but I looked at it when I was an adult and I thought, wow. When I was a kid, I thought it was just gorgeous, but my sewing wasn't so good. So it takes practice, but just have fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you're happy with it, that's all that counts. So anyway, be safe, everyone. God bless. Bye.